Incredibly excited to talk to safeties coach Jack Cooper. How in the heck are the Badgers going to replace Hunter Wohler plus some new pieces in that room? We're going to talk about it next. Locked on Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Excited to have a great guest on today. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's over at FanDuel. And with the great guests, we always just bring him in. We got safeties coach Jack Cooper joining the show. Been with Wisconsin for a couple of years, previously defensive coordinator at Rhode Island. Jack, I want to start here. Thank you for the time. How do you go about replacing a Hunter Wohler?
You know, it's all hands on deck. You know, it's by committee a little bit. Obviously, Hunter was really big to what we were doing. You know, not just as a player, but culturally and energy and the effort that he played with and his ability to study the game. So we're gonna have to figure it out and do it by committee and try to improve the room as quickly as possible to replace a guy like Hunter.
Well, and that's actually one of the questions I had. Is it almost more certainly the on-field aspect of what Hunter has done for years in Madison, but from a leadership standpoint, everybody I talked to from Brady Collins on down, is that almost a bigger loss with Hunter?
Yeah, I think it's hard to measure like which one's bigger. I think they're kind of tied in together. Like obviously his playmaking ability, shoot, I talked to recruits about it. Like, you know, he had almost 200 tackles over 2 years. You know, like he's a productive dude who made a lot of plays on the ball and was a physical guy and covered up a lot of things in the back end for us. But just the day to day with him in the locker room and with the guys in our program is sometimes it's really invaluable and it's hard to measure that. That type of loss. So I think it's a little bit of both, but we're gonna have to work at trying to replace that.
Well, let's talk about some of the guys coming back. So one of the questions we had from somebody, Preston Zachman, obviously coming back, another veteran. What does he bring to the room, and how do you see him kind of fitting in 2025?
Yeah, obviously Preston's a 6-year guy. Preston and I have been able to get really close over the last couple of years, and Preston from a knowledge standpoint, knowing the defense, knowing what Coach Fick and Coach Tressel's vision is for the defense, like his knowledge is top notch in the room and the defense overall as a unit. Just really amplifying his leadership, I think, is big for us. But the guy's been through a lot of battles. Obviously new staff, old staff. He's played a lot of football games, played a lot of meaningful snaps. So, and that's an invaluable thing to have, especially in the Big Ten and all the different styles of offenses we see. So I just think his experience, obviously his knowledge of the defense, and then just the leadership that he brings and kind of amping up that game with Hunter out of the building is going to be really big for us.
One of the things we tracked last year a lot kind of on this show is just tackles. Preston was really solid, and I feel like you need safeties in this era of football to tackle in space. I feel like that's one of the things he brings to that defense.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of funny early in the year. He had a lot of tackles. The ball was just kind of being run on the boundary where he was playing, maybe by scheme or just by who we were playing against. But it's really twofold, right? Like being physical as a safety and punishing ball carries is going to be really big. But I think those limiting explosive plays, like that's one of the biggest things that Coach Tress talks about in our defense. Like it's our job as safeties to really protect not only our defense, like in our program when the ball pops out. Like, and Preston was really good and efficient last year, getting ball carriers down for 12 and 14 and kind of just getting up like, all right, next play mentality. We got to go play the next play. So, super efficient in the open field, getting guys down and, kind of challenging this offseason to even get better at it, more physical at it. But yeah, just super efficient guy, knows angles, and knows how to play in space as a safety.
Another question we had was on Austin Brown coming back, and certainly probably keeping some cards close to the vest on how these pieces are going to get used. But what does Austin Brown bring to the secondary? What are you looking for with him in 2025?
Yeah, Austin Brown's he's probably played 3 or 4 positions since I've been here. He's played nickel. Obviously, last year played a ton of nickel. He's played boundary safety when we need to play boundary safety. In one of our last road games of the year last year, he played field safety. He's played dime linebacker on third down. Like he really is a versatile guy that we can move around. And you feel like when you have another older guy in the program that's played a lot of snaps at different spots, like he gives you the flexibility to move people around. So not really sure where AB is going to end up right now, and he's doing a little bit of everything back there, kind of in our three safety type system, and we'll kind of see like based off where he's comfortable and where he's playing well, and then based off our other personnel from the not only the safety room but the corner room as well. Like we're all joined together with Coach Haynes and trying to figure this out, trying to get the best five guys on the field.
Well, and talk about that a little bit more because you're right. Everything is joined together from the pass rush to the safety at the very back end of the defense. This is a defense last year that had moments, certainly, especially in some of those bigger games against the Penn State and the Oregon, but also at times struggled to turnovers. What role do the safeties kind of need to play coming up next year for that? Is that more a pass rush role and then the safeties clean it up, or is it more we've got to hold coverage and then the pass rush can get there?
It's like we looked at. It's funny because we looked at the study this offseason, and I think it was the number might have been like 52% of interceptions are caused by pass rush. So I think it's a 50-50 thing. That's just interceptions, but we also control what we call bicep punching and punching at the football and being more ball aware. Not just trying to get guys to the ground, but understanding that if we can get 2 turnovers a game, our chances of winning go up really high. So I think for us as a group, like we're going to be around the football as much as anybody, not only tackling, but when the ball's in the air. So I never think it's a one position deal, but I do think there's a lot of emphasis in our room. Like we can control this probably more than any other position group, being able to get the ball back. And it's a huge emphasis for us in the safety room. Like we got to do a better job as a group, getting the ball back to the offense and create field position for those guys.
Is there a sense of frustration off last year in the room, or is it a kind of a renewed idea of like what we can do going forward? How does last year filter into the offseason for you guys, for you as a coach and for that safeties room?
I think there's some teachable moments that we take from last year. I wouldn't say frustration. I think for our guys to be, especially safeties, being as even keeled as possible. And I talk about the emotional roller coaster, like don't ride the emotional roller coaster about things in the past. Like we're here stacking days. Like we're going to be in the present day. We're going to do everything we can to get better in the present day. So to answer your question, like things from last year are all teachable moments. But I do think there's a great energy in the room, a good excitement. Like, okay, this is a new group. We have to go prove ourselves again. Whatever type of motivation that we need. But I don't think there's a frustration piece. It's just, hey, tomorrow's March 6th, and we're going to come in the building. We're going to have a bounce to our step, and we're going to do everything we can to help the Badger defense on March 6th. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I'm curious with the some of the new additions to this staff, yourself kind of also moving up into that safeties role. How's your relationship with Coach Haynes? How do you guys work together to kind of, you mentioned it, build that secondary, get that best five back there? How do you guys find that balance?
Yeah, Coach Haynes is great. We might be in similar roles, I guess, corner safeties, but I really look up to Coach Haynes and just kind of his experience. Obviously, he's been coaching football a lot longer than he's been.
Nope, got you back.
And he's a tremendous asset for me professionally, and he's a tremendous asset for our whole entire secondary. So we're definitely trying to find ways to get together more as a group, all five of us, so we're not independent contractors. Like all five of us have to be able to play together and communicate at a high level. So Coach Haynes is an unbelievable asset, just, obviously football knowledge and seeing a lot of different things and technique, but just wisdom in the game and just helped me as a young Big Ten coach. He's phenomenal for my development personally.
Kind of a two-part question here. I know you and I have talked about this a little bit before. Just with your defensive coordinator background, I feel like that plays really well as a safeties coach because safeties have to have kind of the big picture view of the defense. You, as a defense coordinator, had that. Is that true? And then second part, is it hard for you to move from being a DC where you have the whole vision to focusing a little more narrow, a little narrower with just one position group?
Yeah, I think safeties obviously, having DC experience and coaching safeties obviously helps. I feel like our defense in general, I think I can keep a big picture view. A lot of times, I think sometimes as a young coach, I was always trying to find the new cool thing, like the best possible thing ever. Like let's say I went to Coach Tress, Coach Tress, I really want this defense and it's really cool. But sometimes being a safety coach is a lot about making sure that we're sound and disciplined in our approach. And I think that's where the DC experience I have in the past is going to be able to help me out in general. And then can you repeat the second part of the question?
Yeah. So Is it difficult for you to go from
Yeah,
that
yeah.
wide scope to a more narrow one?
Uh, I probably not. No, not really. Just because I came here and for me, this whole thing was about a big picture move for me. I love being a DC. I still miss it to this day. To be honest with you, that's just me being completely honest and transparent. But I think knowing that I'm growing and getting better here under Coach Fickle and Coach Tress, like it makes it a lot easier for me to say like taking a whatever you want to call it, a backseat, a secondary role to support what we want to do defensively. Because I know at the end of the day, it's going to help me, in the short term, but it's going to help me long term as well if I just trust in the process of what we're doing.
How do the new pieces from the portal and the freshman class fit into this team and the depth chart? That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is incredible. Right now, NBA action is going on, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. Plus, they have parlays, futures, teaser spreads. So even if you missed an opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action with those live bets. It's all over there on FanDuel. As always, do it responsibly. But if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can bet give you $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Do it responsibly, but head over to FanDuel to spice up your sports weekend. All right, let's jump back into this show with Coach Cooper. Let's start with Matt Young, 6'3", transfer coming over from Bethel, formerly from Neenah, Wisconsin. What has he been like?
Really cool story. Matt Young is a great dude. It was like the most speed dating transfer portal recruiting you'll ever see. It was like call him in the morning. Hey, you want to come here? Get him down that night. Come in next day. It was like warp speed. So we've been really working at trying to get to know each other. Matt's really big on trust and respect, and he's a really humble dude. And I'll say this about Matt: he's really diligent in his work. He's gonna work at it every single day. He's gonna ask for clarification. You could tell his dad's a high school football coach. Like if something is, if I'm teaching him something and it's not hitting a certain way, he might raise an eyebrow or kind of look at me a certain way. Like I can tell there's some. He's not all the way there on it, but he's really diligent in his work. He's working hard in the weight room, and the guys really like being around him. So he's just a really cool story, and really just looking forward to see him just keep stacking this spring and kind of see where he ends up this spring.
And one of the things his former head coach said he plays football with an unbelievable amount of passion. Obviously, we haven't had the pads on. You guys haven't seen that in a game, but feels like I watch a lot of, obviously, Wisconsin Badgers basketball, great guard, and he does a really good job of building culture on that side. This feels like the type of kid, I shouldn't say kid, young man, that is also a great culture fit alongside his physical tools.
Yeah, it's been pretty seamless. I think we've definitely challenged the guys in the secondary and the safety specifically. Like, hey, we got to get together more in the offseason. We got to do things. We all got busy schedules. Like, there's a lot of football, a lot of school, there's a lot of things going on. But he seamlessly fit into the room with the guys, with the Zachmans, with the Browns, with the Owen Arnett's and everything like that. So yeah, from a cultural standpoint, he's been awesome. As far as seeing his passion on the field, it's kind of hard. Your shorts and t-shirt and walkthroughs and everything like that. But I do see a real excitement and a bounce in the step when he's out there trying to work at it.
And then the other safety that came in, Matthew Traynor, coming over from Richmond. What are the early impressions with Matthew? What has he been like in the room?
Yeah, so I didn't really have a connection to Matt. We were kind of recruiting him early in the portal process, and obviously there's some familiarities. He was at Richmond, which is a CAA, the same league that I was in at Rhode Island. So there's a lot of people that kind of called on him, and people really liked him as a player. Like he's a super aggressive player, wants to play downhill. He's going to work at it too, and he's been really good to have in the room. And obviously we have that little bit of that FCS-CA connection. So yeah, Matt's a good kid too, and he really works at it as far as being diligent and asking for clarification. And just really excited to see what he looks like this spring.
And with both these players, I think when they came in, there's an idea of they might need to play right away, which certainly maybe they could. I know you guys are still figuring out spots, but these are also future plays to some degree. These are players that have eligibility left, and I feel like they're also there for the next couple of years potentially.
Yeah, they're like that sweet spot in the portal, right? They're not the 1 year guys. People call them rentals, but they're not the 1 year guys that are in and out. They're not the 4 year high school kid. They're somewhat in the middle. There's obviously development from Bethel and Richmond. Obviously, they're coached really well, but there's a little bit more time to kind of groom them and change definitely ideology, like how they see the game, and that's kind of what we're working through right now with both of them. Is like they have a lot of big picture teaching and they've played a lot of snaps, but we're trying to deprogram them a little bit to play the way we want a Wisconsin safety to play, So, no, it's really positive because they both got multiple years, and sometimes I lose track, like who knows who has how many years with all the different rules now. So
Mhm.
I just know they're going to be here for a few years, and I'm excited to be able to work with them for that time.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Like I was hoping you'd find a way to get Hunter Wohler another year too. You didn't pull that one off, but yeah, you never
That'd be
know at the
great.
NCAA now.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest adjustment for players coming from that have the physical skill set? Certainly, there's players that physically can play at the lower levels of football. Is the biggest adjustment the mental side of it, seeing the bigger picture, breaking some habits, maybe?
Um, yeah, maybe sometimes it's habits. Sometimes it's just the intensity of the environment. I think at times, like the access to the players, it could be a little bit different too. And just hey, it's going to be meetings, it's going to be walkthrough, it's going to be this, it's going to be all right. I'm sending you this presentation, and make sure you're studying this and studying that. Just because there's more sure bodies here at this level. It's not like the teaching is different. The coaches at FCS and D3 are awesome. I've coached at both those levels, and there's great coaches everywhere. I just think it's sometimes the intensity and then just the volume of sometimes the offenses that we're facing. Like you brought up Penn State, and that's just one offense. Last year it was like we call it the rave. It was just like a light show everywhere. There was things going on everywhere. We're getting shifts, motions, and trades, and you got to be light on your feet to play safety in the Big Ten, just with all the different looks you're seeing.
I know very early in their career still, but I would love to ping you on Grant Dean, Luke Emmerich, a couple young safeties that came in his last year's class. What are some very early thoughts just on physically what they've shown on film and your communication with them?
Yeah, working hard in the weight room. They're still at the point of like, okay, here's my class schedule. Here's how I get to class, study hall. All the normal true freshmen, and really they should be going to prom in a month here, right? They're still high school seniors a little bit, so just trying to acclimate them. Obviously I've seen the speed that we thought they had when we recruited them. We see speed that they can run, both of them, and I think just obviously it's funny, we talk about Matt Trainer and Matt Young, and then we move our way down to early and early freshmen, like the realism of playbooks and formation adjustment. And I think the biggest thing for them is getting them to talk, right? Like as a freshman, safety in a room with, let's say 23, 24 Preston, Zachman, Austin Brown have played thousands of snaps here. Like it could be a little intimidating when you're asked, hey, what call you got to make here, and that's what we're trying to get them to be is the quarterback of the defense and take control back there. And that's going to come with confidence and reps. And, just look forward to seeing them when they do get confident in what we're doing, when they do just cut it loose and let it rip. I'm interested to see what those guys look like, but we're still, we're plugging at it every day with them.
And just a couple more questions here. Definitely want to be respectful of your time. I asked Brady Collins this with the receivers. I'm going to ask you with the safeties. If you lined every safety up on one side of the field, no holds barred, who gets to the other side the fastest? Who wins that race?
Ooh, I'm going to be held accountable by the room right now. Okay. I'll probably give two answers. Maybe guys that have come back, I'll give it to AB. And for the new guys, right now, from what I've seen, maybe Matt Young, and I'm kind of going off some miles per hour stuff. But yeah, probably those two guys, and we'll see. We might have to line them up at the end of spring and let them run. So.
But good stuff for sure. Who's the best athlete in the coaching staff?
The best athlete in the coaching staff. Okay, define athlete.
If you put every coach in the coaching staff in a decathlon, so 10 athletic events measuring like all sorts, just overall athlete, who do you think would come out best in that?
He's one of my buddies in the bill. He's my workout partner in the morning. I might give it to Tough Borland. He's got some younger legs and younger youth to him. I think I can give him a little bit of a run for his money. I could say Coach Spalding, obviously Coach Guyton. There's a lot of different guys. I'm gonna stick with some of the younger guys on staff. I think we all can kind of hang in there. Our little morning crew that works out. So I'd say those guys would be the top.
I love it. Question here I wanted to hit you with really quickly because
Yeah.
I'm not sure specifically. Trey asked, is there a need for a true center fielder type safety in your defense, in this defense? Is that something that you guys look for, or is it more versatile than that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do play a lot of man coverage. I think people have seen that in the last couple of years. You do need someone that can play outside the hashes and numbers to numbers. So yeah, it's definitely a trait that we are going to hunt down this spring and see who can do it. Obviously guys are at different stages because either they're new and they haven't played a lot of middle of the field close defenses, or we haven't asked them to play in the post a lot here. So anytime you're going to play man coverage, you got to have a guy that can help on the deep balls, whether it's the corner, to help the corner, help the nickel, help the safety in general. But yeah, we're definitely going to look for a guy that can do that. Now, is it going to be one guy? No, because it's never perfect formationally. Like you got to be able to get multiple guys in the field to be able to do it.
Last question here. Obviously, you mentioned spring coming up. What is a successful spring for your positional group at safety? If you come out of it, this happened, it was a success.
Yeah, just obviously learning and embracing the culture and the environment that Coach Fickle and Coach Tress want defensively. I think it's definitely being more ball aware in general, and just having more of a ball awareness and ball on our mind, like punching at the ball, raking at the ball, PBUs, interceptions, and trying to create more turnovers for the defense. And I just think just guys that are continually committed to the process of stacking days, not getting emotional, and just really investing in each other and trying to get better every single day. Like, let's not worry about the results of every single day. Let's just be process oriented. So when we put our head down for 2 months and maybe we take a deep breath in May, we can look back and say, like, okay, we took a big step as a group to help our defense and help our program. That's what I'm really looking for out of those guys this spring.
Awesome stuff, man. He is Jack Cooper, new safeties coach for the Wisconsin Badgers. Coach, really, really do appreciate the time. I know you got a bunch going on, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys.
I think the secondary is the strength of this defense next year. Let's talk about it after the break. First, a quick second for our friends of the show. Over at Nissan, we are all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team. That's power. Plus the gear wherever you need to go. That's like an old-fashioned Wisconsin offensive line with that type of pullage ability. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Let's jump back into this discussion, talk about why I think the secondary is the strength of this defense next year. Let's start at the top. And super grateful to have Coach Cooper join us for a couple segments and break down some of the safeties in that group. You have established veterans, right? So getting Nizer Forkran coming back, you have Ricardo Holman coming back, Preston Zachman coming back. All three of those could have been gone. And I guess officially we're still kind of waiting on Nizer Forkran, but the official NCAA, if there's anything else we want to throw into the works. But all three of those pieces could have left. You could have lost a Preston Zachman. And listen, in the world of NCAA 2024, 2025, every piece could have left. To get Preston Zachman back, that's a retention win. To get a Ricardo Holman back, that's a retention win. To get a Nizer Forkran back, that's a retention win. Those are guys that could have left either to other schools or tried their luck in the NFL draft. Those are three huge pieces to retain. And then you have Austin Brown coming back, another veteran that can play all over the field. That's a lot of experience. That's 4 of your better players on defense, all in the secondary. 2 safeties, 2 corners. That's a ton to work with just to start there, right? And then you start to look at, I really like the portal additions at safety. Matt Young, we talked about him today, Matthew Traynor, both players that I think are going to be comfortable in the box, which is a lot of what when you lose a Hunter Wohler, certainly you miss coverage ability as well, athleticism, but you also miss some of that just physicality, some of that in the box safety ability. I think Traynor and Young give you some of that. Plus, I think they're really good culture guys. Adding them into the mix, I think, is a big deal. So now you have some veterans that are coming back that you really like. You have some portal additions that I think are pretty big. I like the young players, especially the last two classes in the secondary. Now, obviously, everyone's going to look at Xavier Lucas, who's no longer here, but I really liked Agard. O'Malley Agard was a big-time get. Now he's coming into a redshirt freshman year. I like Jay Harper as an athletic guy. I really like the two young safeties they got this year in Grant Dean and Luke Emmerich, both really, really fast, athletic pieces in that secondary. Then you have a Jim Washington. You have a Scotts. You have a Kairos Gaines. So I think you have a really interesting mix in the secondary of those veterans at the top that are going to bring stability, experience, and athletic ability. There's another gear in Fort Greene, right? I think there's going to be another gear in Austin Brown that he's going to play. He's going to fill more into that main steady role. And now some of these younger guys, you're going to see a couple of them this year, I think. I think you could see a Washington. You could see a Scott. It wouldn't shock me if you saw one of those safeties start to play a little bit here and there, whether it's a Dean or an Emmerich, just because of their speed, their ability to go sideline to sideline. That's certainly something Coach Cooper talked about. That's a piece that defenses need. I don't think it's going to be those guys day one, but you start to look at the future for those guys in the portal gains and the freshmen. You like the future of those positions. You like the veterans on this group. I really think the secondary and the safety is the strength of this defense next year. And if you can get a step up in that front seven, generate a little more pass rush, I think it's going to be a pretty solid defense. I think there's a chance for a pretty solid defense here. And I've already talked about how I think the offense is going to take a step up. I like it. I like where this is trending. So, yeah, I think secondary is going to be the strength of defense next year. Super excited if Coach Cooper joined today. Loved how he talked about some of the speed numbers from the younger players, the new players, and how that matched up with what they saw on film. This group has definitely gotten more athletic in the back end. That's been a target for this coaching staff. I think it's something they've targeted in recruiting classes, in portal classes. It's something they've been able to, get into Madison, which has been a long issue for the Badgers, is getting some elite athletes in that back seven. So I think they've been able to do some of that. Excited to see how the year goes on. And again, super grateful for Coach Cooper joining the show, giving us a little insight. When you're done, you go check out Locked On Big Ten. All the biggest stories from the Big Ten our Big Ten conference over in the Locked On Big Ten channel. It's realignment, NIL, all over there. Super glad to have everybody join us today on Wisconsin, and we will talk later.